All right, thank you everyone once again for joining us tonight. We appreciate all of your support from the parents out there. So we will get this informational meeting started right away. To introduce myself, my name is Christopher Ledvina. I am the coordinator for the Cooperative Education team. I have the pleasure of introducing some of our rock stars on campus who are going to be sharing some updates across different fields and different parts of campus tonight, so you can have an understanding of where we are, where we're going, and answer some of your questions. So before I get started, if anyone would like to, and you are in the Microsoft Teams application, please include your name, where you're from, and any questions that you have in the chat box so that we can get to them after we have our informational portion. We do have some questions that we'll go through. So the way that it'll work tonight is I'll have each of our speakers. They will give their presentations, their bits of information, and then I will go through a couple of the questions that came in from the emails, and then we will open it up to questions from our guests. So without further ado, please let me introduce the our three people who are with us tonight to share. People still coming in, no problem. First, we have David Simon. David Simon is our Vice President for Campus Life and our Dean of Students. We have Dr. Joshua Cutney, who is our Vice President for Academic Affairs. And we have Jessica Lambrecht, who is our Associate Vice President for Cooperative Education and Career Readiness. So a nice blend of people to tell you about what's going on campus. So without further ado, I will start with David Simon. If you could please start with it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christopher. My name, like Christopher said, my name is David Simon, Vice President for Campus Life and Dean for Students. Other departments I serve as Residence Life, Shuttle Operations, Dining Services, our Student Engagement Advocates, Campus Safety Department, Counseling Services, and Health Services. I also serve the university as a liaison with public health with regards to our COVID response team, and I also currently hold a seat on the COVID administration panel with Sheboygan County. So those are some of the couple of hats that I wear for the university. What we look like and what we're going to as far as possibly fall, we're looking at several dynamics with regards to, obviously, all things COVID is fluid. We know that COVID is changing day to day, science is coming in, and then we're getting a couple of other things that kind of give us some barriers there. But what we're looking at is possibly returning to a post-COVID fall, which regards to programming, student activities, Greek organizations, like intramural sports, our student activities component, providing great opportunity. And pretty much we want our students to return back to a level of engagement, some of the things that we unfortunately had to take away due to COVID. So we're going to go back to a post-normal as possible. I don't think we'll ever see a pre-COVID normal, because this is something that we know that's going to be around for a very long time, but a post-COVID normal. I mean, it gives us some assurances with vaccine. We are an institution that is recommending, vaccine hesitancy. We have programs against. We want folks to become vaccinated so we can have a level of community immunity so that we can open up our doors, open up some things to kind of bring those experiences back. So that's pretty much my spiel right there.
Chris, I think you're muted.
I think you muted, Chris. Yeah.
Oh no, I muted myself. Classic faux pas. All right, I will go. I will go to Joshua Cutney. Dr. Cutney, could you please speak to us next?
I'll be glad to. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me. I thought I might just provide a brief academic update, and if there are questions later on, I'll be glad to take them. We are nearly finished our spring term. We have final exam week next week for students who are in our 14-week traditional program. Our Kellett School program, those courses, the 12-week courses, wrapped up about a week or so ago, and the second 7-week session will be done soon too, right in line with the 14-week session. We too, as David has said, we are anticipating a fall that looks a bit more like normal. So we are going to try to be as face-to-face as possible with our coursework, both in our traditional program and at some of our off-campus centers. You'll see the full range of course modalities that students have enjoyed in the past. In the on-campus, the face-to-face courses, we still we abide by the county and national guidelines in terms of distancing. So we'll continue to distance in classrooms. We'll continue to use masks, but we've gotten pretty good at this, and we're able to do it in a safe way. This may require some courses to be cohorted, meaning 1 week a student participates in person and the next week online. But we've really taken great care to make sure that we minimize those amounts of cohorted classes. Traditional students continue to have the option. It's a great option. You don't see it everywhere, to take courses in our evening online program at no additional charge. It's during the fall and spring terms. It's just part of how they can use their tuition dollars. So that's a nice way to build in some flexibility. This summer, and I know, Jess, you'll be able to share a little bit more soon. We have some great options planned. In addition to some of the standard summer coursework that students could take, we have a special incentive for students who were full-time in the fall and spring with us, traditional students. They can take 1 3-credit experiential learning course, typically a co-op course or an internship, free of charge if they are living on our residential campus. So that is a nice new incentive that we've created to just help continue to support student success. We also have our summer bridge programming for some incoming freshmen. It's called Opus, and Opus, the term for a masterwork. So we think that those students are a great work of art. So that experience includes the opportunity to work either on campus or for one of the employers in the community, to do some skill building coursework. And Jess Lambrecht teaches a 1-credit EXP course, a course on professional practical skills, learning how to become workplace ready. And that's an opportunity for those students as well, in addition to residential experience and some great social programming. One thing I will say about the fall and next year is our plan is to reinstate fall break and in the spring break, and to do that safely. I know many students worked with us as we offered some wellness days this spring, and we did our best to keep everyone safe and build in a little bit of time to breathe. We know it wasn't perfect, but we really appreciate the flexibility everyone demonstrated there, and we're increasingly trying to get back to that rhythm in our semesters that really benefits everyone. So thank you, Chris. I know that's a brief snapshot, but I'd be glad to take any questions when you think that makes sense.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Cudney. And finally, last but not least, please, Jess, can you please give us an update?
Perfect. Thank you, Chris, and good evening, everyone. So glad that you guys could join us tonight. We know we just gave you notice, just a few days ago that we were going to do this session, but we felt it was really important to make sure that before your students are leaving for the semester or whatever they might be doing this summer, that we had an opportunity to connect with you. Just make sure you had all the resources and tools at your fingertips to know who to reach out to or who to connect with if you did have questions or concerns. Obviously, our faculty and staff, our staff in particular, we are around on campus all summer long. We don't go away. We don't shut down. So if you do have questions moving into the summer and leading into the fall term, obviously we're here to serve those needs. I do have a few updates for our parent audience, just to be mindful of some of the really great opportunities we have available for students, in particular this summer and leading into the fall term. The first one I'll kind of mention or allude to is basically what Dr. Cudney had mentioned in regards to our students who are doing work-based learning in Sheboygan County. You can live on campus or in Sheboygan County to work for these organizations and then earn 3 credits of internship, of co-op, or whatever other designation makes sense for your particular degree program. But my team and I are really very excited and happy to work with students to figure out what their employment options are for summer and how that may apply towards their cooperative education interests. Really important to know, and I'm sure many of you parents probably recognize this, there is a significant talent shortage in Sheboygan County. There's over 3,000 jobs available and there's not enough talent. And so basically what that means is employers are being very creative and very competitive in finding talent and working with us as an institution to be able to fill those needs, because without talent, you can't get your product out of the office or out of the building in order to get to consumers. So with that, we've got several employers who are offering signing bonuses, which are just unheard of. The last one I saw was from an organization offering $1,500 on top of hourly wages in order to attract more of the student talent body. In addition, the one I'm most excited about is our partnership with Destination Kohler. If our students stick around this summer and work through the fall season, those students have an opportunity to get their textbooks paid for in the fall and spring semesters. I think that's an incredible partnership that the employer offers a really great training program and great support system. And we provide transportation, obviously, to and from campus. And so we have a cohort of students who've already committed to doing that this summer, but it's not too late. If you're not really sure what your son or daughter is doing and they need some options, really my team are ready to go and excited to work with them. We also still have a number of on-campus jobs available for students even this summer between our food service operations, our camps, our different athletic events and things that we have groups coming to campus. We definitely need more talent ourselves. So if your son or daughter is looking for even something that's on campus, continuing to work with their mentors and faculty members, on-campus employment is always an available option. In addition, if any of your students are graduating this term or even graduating this summer, just a friendly reminder that we are here for your students to find permanent employment or consider graduate school programs. So even if it's 6 months down the road and they find themselves kind of rethinking what they wanted to do, they can always come back to our team and we will continue to work for them to help them gain new employment that they maybe hadn't considered in the past. If I can provide, as a parent myself, any ideas of what you might want to help your son or daughter do this summer, as they're maybe home with you, we actively work with our alumni to help connect students to organizations or alumni that might be of interest or help them out or do some job shadowing, some virtual job shadowing. In fact, I was just talking with a student this morning who's connecting with an alumni in Chicago, and we're trying to arrange some internship options in downtown Chicago area. So we don't just do it here in Sheboygan County, we really do extend into other communities. We work very closely with our financial aid team as well. So if you know that your child has some financial concerns and things just aren't getting worked out and you're concerned about how they're going to pay for their fall term, it's never too late to work with us. We have so many great employers that offer tuition benefits. We've got one employer that pays 80% of a student's tuition with a commitment of employment. We have an employer that is even offering a tuition payback program that if they already graduate and want to help pay off loans in that way, they'll also work with them. So I'm telling you, employers are super creative these days on making sure they get their talent needs met. And we can provide all of those options or ideas for consideration to students, no matter their degree program and what their interests are. We're always here to help. So hopefully that provides some insight and perspective on how we can help your student this summer. Chris?
Perfect. Thank you, Jess. All right, then thank you all three of our speakers tonight, for your updates. Let's jump right into some of these questions that we've received.
Hey, Chris, real quick, before you do that, can we just ask our parents one more time, if you guys wouldn't mind putting in the chat again where you're from or who your student is at Lakeland and maybe why you attended today, if we can just anticipate some of those questions while you certainly ask the ones that we know in particular, Chris, that are being asked.
Sure, of course. And we do have a couple questions that came in the chat, okay. So I can absolutely, I'll take some of those as well. So the first question that I will speak to is one that we got from an email. Some questions about housing. So the first question that came in was talking about a decision that was made in terms of housing for sophomores versus juniors and seniors, and some not being able to live together according to unless they're in the suites. Would one of our speakers be willing to speak to that topic and the decision to have that in place?
Sure, Chris, can you repeat that one more time? I got a little staticky over here.
Sure, no problem. The question is, please explain the change in housing where sophomores and juniors or seniors are not able to live together unless they are in the suites.
Okay. Actually, what we have is we do have some great projects going on campus. So actually starting now and then next week we'll be tearing down 2 old residential halls, very well worn out, and replacing them with new ones. In the course of that, we will have limited housing on campus. So going into the fall 21 semester, we'll be housing freshmen, sophomores, and some of those juniors and seniors on campus with spaces left. After that, we also have an off-campus residential facility that we will be running as an extension of Lakeland University residential housing, which will be called the Founders Club. There's no increase in pricing or anything there. It will actually mimic one of our residential buildings that we're currently tearing down, so that the price stays moderate, it stays very economical and feasible to take care of. So allocation to that space would be for upperclassmen, particularly juniors and seniors. With regards to housing, typically we do freshman housing because there's typical program geared towards freshmen to develop them and show them how to college, how to become community members and live in and cohabitate in a community setting. So therefore, our residential housing is somewhat separate, but as students transition out of their freshman year, they can actually move into definite residential housing that's cohabited by class or by floor as far as gender. So we don't separate intentionally, but it's designed based on programming so that we can kind of cultivate students who are coming in and learn what the college life looks like, what the responsibilities that come with that, and so forth.
Perfect. Thank you, David. A second question on the same email was, when will housing assignments be announced?
Well, summer housing is already in the process. Students will have those assignments before they leave. As a matter of fact, the communication actually is going out this week and we'll finish up early next week. Regarding fall housing, that would actually be released a little bit after, I want to say May 5th, I believe is the deadline. Because again, we want to secure those spots and make sure and see what we have on campus as far as housing arrangements. So summer housing assignments has already been given out and fall housing will be given out after May 5th.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let me see. So I do see quite a few names coming in here. Let's looking to see if we have any questions included. But I see a student who is looking to take advantage of the summer programs. Excellent. Always happy to see. Happy to help them out. Make sure your daughter Val reaches out to our team, the co-op team.
Chris, there was an earlier question about summer courses. I don't see in my interface the ability to attach documents, but I have emailed to you traditional and Kellett summer course offerings, so please feel free to share those with the parents in whatever way makes sense. So.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, the question, what kinds of courses will be offered this summer for the traditional students? I'll definitely include that document on the follow-up email that will go out to all of our registered parents. So you'll have access to that. Okay, let's see. Okay, one more email, and then I'll go to the questions that are in the chat. This is a question that came in about convocations and requirements due to COVID. Will students still be required to complete the full amount?
I'll be glad to address that one. We've been attending to that issue on a semester by semester basis. As you can imagine, that has been the way to do it, just to see where we will be. As we did the fall and now in the spring, students who are graduating, their requirement is considered to be met. Those students who are continuing have 3 convocations less from the total amount that they are required to complete. Our plan for the fall is to offer a convocation experience and to be a little bit more creative. We've learned a lot over the last couple of terms about how to offer safe events and how to track them. So I hope that answers the question. But the faculty wanted to be very sure that we passed a policy that did not keep anyone from finishing, but also help people as they were progressing in their academic program to continue to be closer to meeting that requirement. And we miss getting together.
Of course. All right, thank you. So one more question or another question from the chat. If a student lives off campus or lived off campus this academic year, but is living on campus next year, do they qualify for the waived tuition expense for the summer internship program? Jess?
Yeah, I can address that. So a residency doesn't matter, honestly, for this particular structure. It really just matters where the placement is. So I would recommend, or if you want to put in the chat, Wendy, where that placement is, I can certainly address that specifically. But as long as they're working for a Sheboygan-based employer, they would qualify. And I should add to that, we are offering our professional protocol class and our seminar class that Dr. Cutney mentioned in person on campus this summer. So if a student wants to pick up some of those additional credits, those are also covered as part of the free tuition.
Perfect, thank you. We have 2 questions that came into the chat concerning vaccinations. First one, just to confirm, student vaccination is recommended but not required, correct?
That is correct. We're not requiring vaccination, but we are strongly recommending. This is one of the protocols that help us open things up and return to a post-COVID, pre-COVID living community that we can all come together and enjoy engagement and activities. Absolutely.
Thank you. And the second question, are COVID vaccines offered on campus? And if so, where?
Unfortunately not. Excuse me, working with public health and the other various programs that does vaccination, some of those are federally mandated to be required to operate in certain areas. So our Purveyor, which we currently contract with our health services, are already committed to an off-campus site that's already been approved for them to issue vaccine there. But we also have several other areas within the community that offers vaccine. The caveat to that is we do provide transportation for our students that want to get vaccinated. We will provide transportation to and from, but we have not been approved to have it on campus because those areas was already situated when the vaccination was being distributed.
Perfect. Thank you, David. All right. Those, oh, there we go. Another question. Will proof of vaccination be part of athletic physicals, even though they're not required to assist with when to quarantine or things like that? Okay.
Yeah. Great question. With athletics right now, we're still waiting on a lot of guidance coming from the NCAA. They're taking a lot of this in-house and they're trying to figure what this will look like going into fall, especially particularly with fall sports, right? We know that there was a delay this year. What is that looking like next year? So that actually, that's probably something we can report back out, Chris, once we know what the NCAA guidelines will be with regards to student athletes. With regards to us, we do require immunization records to be turned in, and it goes to our Purveyor health partner, and they would have that information because we all know it's HIPAA protected, but it would for our residential students, it will lie within Purveyor.
Excellent. All right, let's see, any more questions? Maybe,
Chris, can I wanted to just mention one other thing.
Absolutely.
Related to the summer program. We have been meeting with students who maybe did already secure their employment options or looking at adjustments. I should mention that if your student is Pell eligible, if you know what that means, they actually qualify for an even greater discount. And in fact, I had a student who's registering for 9 credits this summer and having very minimal, and I mean minimal expense. So if at all your son or daughter is Pell eligible, it's really important that they work closely with financial aid and our team, because we can help them in some cases reduce their credits longer term and maybe even a semester early. So if that's at all of something of interest, please make sure to direct your student our way.
Awesome, thank you. Another question we have, will athletes continue to be housed together?
Currently, athletes, they pick their housing together. We don't intentionally house them together. That is an NCAA guideline that we cannot do. But our students do gravitate together by class. So therefore, those students who will move to the apartments, who will move to some of the other residential facilities, have the ability to house and live together. But that'll be their choice that they have freely to make.
Perfect. Let's see, I still see we have some typing. All right. What is the difference in the OPUS program versus the professional practice course?
Sure, the professional protocol course, the EXP 100, is a standalone course, and we offer it to our summer bridge students as well as to other students. Jess Lambrecht teaches it. It's just one part of that academic experience of the Summer Bridge program. We started it last year, and the students told us it was very helpful, not only in what they learned from the professional skills, but it poised them to be able to get into more competitive co-op placements sooner. And so that was advantageous to them. So it's the same course, just in a different program, tailored to incoming freshmen. I hope that answers the question.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I don't see any additional questions in the chat. Does anyone on, if anyone on the phone, does anyone have any questions they would like to share? See some typing.
I'd like to ask a question. Craig Lozano, California,
Sure.
I'm a senior, but going to graduate school. Is there any future plans or any plans to upgrade or make the Wi-Fi or the signals stronger for the campus in regards to Wi-Fi reception, phone reception, data connections, any improvements that's on the back burner right now that could possibly make the signal stronger or better?
I can actually take that question. Absolutely. There's actually been some conversations recently. What we are seeing is the fact that our students have so many devices, and some of these devices are coming in. They're also operating on different VPNs or different what the term slips me here, where they're actually subsetting our own Wi-Fi for their own and try to direct it to themselves. So we have a process in place that's actually going to eliminate a lot of that and actually clean up some of those devices. And also some of the responsibility lies on our students, because a lot of devices are connected that shouldn't be. So there are some things that we're looking at there. We've actually enhanced it tenfold already going into the spring. So we're looking at some other things, what we can do to kind of level that out, but it's sporadic. It's more of a hit and miss. So I could definitely attest that we've gotten a lot better with it by increasing that signal. And if we have to increase it again, that would be something that would be considered, or we'll find out some things that would mitigate gaming Wi-Fi access versus laptop and computer access as well. That way they should kind of mitigate those concerns.
Perfect, thank you. I can take this next question. Will there be a link sent out of the recording? Yes, there will. I will definitely send out after this a link with this recording, as well as that document that Dr. Cutney mentioned earlier with the summer courses. All right. Oh, 2 more questions. Excellent. All right. What additional support will be provided for freshmen in the fall? Okay, and then the example of our son did not receive the support that was mentioned and considered returning home. Do you all have sponsor families for students without any close family? Okay, so talking about support for students as well as the possibility or topic of sponsor families.
David, do you want to tag team on this one a little bit? I can say that as far as support, I'll talk about academic support, right? We continue to have tutoring options for students. All of our incoming freshmen are in some sort of first-year experience course, whether that's the honors program, the Core 1 course, or college success workshop. Their instructor in that course is also their first year, at least their first semester, but first-year advisor. So they see them regularly throughout the week. And are aware, attuned to what they're working on and what they need. If a student is taking a course through our Kellett program, our online and evening program, they have access to additional tutoring resources through that platform through a third-party vendor called tutor.com, which has been a very powerful tool there as well. They have 10 hours of service for the term through that platform. My colleague David Simon oversees a very important support group of student engagement advocates, David, that are assigned to students as well. So,
Yes, absolutely. We have what's called student engagement advocates, like my colleague, Dr. Cutney just stated, where each student actually has an SEA, student engagement advocate. They're designed to pretty much walk the path of entering college and what that looks like for support services, assisting some faculty if there's some concerns with making sure that we get our students to study halls, study tables, academic resources. If there's monetary, getting them connected to our co-op departments in just area. And actually, the SEAs are designed for freshmen to be that bridge, to bridge them where they need to go. You know, we take a more hands-on approach to what we do, more meaningful approach. We don't just point as a kiosk. We actually walk the student through the path. We help them make the necessary appointments. We also have something designed coming out in fall for our first year students. It's called Must-See Success Seminars, which will actually tackle all the things that we collaboratively came together to find out what is some of those barriers that freshmen encounter and how do we help them navigate or cross over those barriers. So there's a series of programming that come out monthly as well. So definitely, as Dr. Cutney said, it's a tag team approach to making sure that students are successful.
Can I add one other thing to that too, if you don't mind, Chris? The other thing I would mention is I think we do a pretty incredible job of connecting students to our local alumni. So if your student is like, I just need someone that maybe lives in the community, we often help make those connections to have a virtual conversation, and those oftentimes do turn into something on a much more personal level, of course, always at the student's discretion. So I can think of some really great alumni that are welcome to students who are staying over long periods of break, who would probably welcome them for a Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas holiday if they are still on campus or in the community, or many of our faculty staff, honestly, if they just need an outlet. I definitely recommend making sure they connect with whomever they are most comfortable with on campus to make those connections.
Thank you. And Laura, I think, posed the question, if there are ways that we dropped the ball, we would like to know that too, so that we can do better, or if there are types of support that we didn't mention that you think would be advantageous. We are always looking to do better. So
absolutely, for that as well.
Perfect. Thank you all. All right, I see another question. This one in terms of software. Will there be course acceptance of Mac software programs available and not just Microsoft software?
I'll give it a shot. We have one kind of major in particular that lives in Mac. That's our graphic design program, right? So, and we have a Mac lab, a small Mac lab that supports that program. And if a student needed to use that area, we can schedule time to do it. Sometimes with Blackboard, our learning management system, if you're submitting a document through Pages, for instance, that sometimes plays well or doesn't. I think the simple solution is to submit the document in PDF form, and that goes through everything very well. It'll be processed properly, and everyone will be able to access it. I think sometimes, this is a great question for our IT department. They're always trying to create new ways for students to be able to submit their work and for it to be read on the other end, and we've gotten better at that. But I know that's not a completely satisfactory answer, but we certainly will work with students. I think submitting documents in PDF is a good way to go. And then just connecting with our IT department. They have so many more strategies that I sometimes am not aware of. And I know there's an ability to dial in through our online system and use the full suite of Microsoft products for free as a student. So
awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone. Do not see any questions additionally in the chat. Do we have questions from anyone who is on the phone? Excellent. I do see that I suggested my daughter contact her academic advisor for help in the Mac software program that's needed. So I think that that's probably the wisest decision as well. We absolutely have our academic advisors, and that's what they're there for, is to try and help with those situations.
So
awesome. Well then, everyone, thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to meet with us tonight. Thank you to our three panelists for sharing their wisdom, answering questions. It is much appreciated. So once again, I appreciate all of your time. If you have any questions for us additionally, please do not hesitate to reach out again through email. I'd be more than happy to set you up with with any one of our members of our staff or faculty that can answer the questions for you. And with that being said, hope you all have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you soon.